So you just give them a code. This is like a walk-up McDonald's. Yeah, it's gonna be BO21. BO21. Alright, these are the new, they're basically like Ramian fries. Well, I got these in the chicken wraps. Come on, let's go.
I know, we're going. See, it was just a bunch of...
You have to put this type of seasoning on it right here. All right, so some complex stuff going on for the chase sequence. This is way in the next few chapters. So what ends up happening is the dwarf does not want Shepherd Dwight East to be around Lady Shelby. That's basically like his spouse. So they kind of fall in a love affair, not the dwarf, but Shep and Lady Shelby, because he meets her at Fairbanks Cafe. So that is the reason why the dwarf further investigates who Archie Rector, who actually is Shepherd Dwight East, is. So he goes into his camp in Alaska when he's not around, when he's out walking with the dog, who is Buster, the dog, and he checks for microdots on the FPIU. And it has microdots that leads all the way back to Fort Worth. So he knows that it's an FPIU and it's not a Ford Explorer. That it's a Ford Police utility. It's a Ford Police Interceptor utility. I think they say Ford Police Interceptor utility. And he knows it's connected to the Fort Worth Police Department. So what he does is he decides to further investigate it, and he looks into media and stuff and realizes there was a case, an open case, basically a cop that avoided sentencing because of a possible migrant murder. Like he went on the run, and his name was Shepherd Dwight East. They figured that's who Archie Rector really is. So they go for the second time to approach Archie Rector, which is Shepherd Dwight East, and Shep knows at this point that there's a problem. The dwarf is the one that told him. The dwarf did two things for the state troopers, the Alaskan state troopers, which is Jonah, Samuel Camden III, and Al Greenwood. He did two things for them. First, he told them that that's not Archie Rector, that is Shepherd Dwight East. They say, well, we have to go by what's in the system. What else can we go by? We've already ran his credentials. Then he shows them the article, the paperwork about the newspaper clipping about what happened with the murder and all that kind of stuff. Then he goes, okay, since I've done that, here's how you can track him. And he has a way that he can track his phone. Because the dwarf does further research and his own reconnaissance to tap into his phone. Because the dwarf is a great hacker. He can tap into phones. He taps into his phone for the sake of tracing it. Okay, now, they go after him. And he knows the second time he can see him coming from afar. But he's not on the reservation land. He left that because he knew they told him to leave that. He's on regular Alaskan land. So he leaves his camp with the scuba gear and the dog. He brings the dog on a certain reason. Now, he knows at that point that they're probably tracking his phone. But he has to keep the phone because it's his only connection with Matt Deal and the Lone Star hacker who's helping him get supplies and things that he needs while he's in Alaska. He's already met up with Joseph Blackbird and found out about the sunken pirate ship in the river. And he knows that there's something strange that happens with a bubble that takes things out of time and proportions things out of time and stuff. So his only escape really pretty much is to go to that river again and get into scuba gear. So he does. So he takes the dog with him, and he takes the phone and he plants it on the vest of the dog and tells the dog to go back. The dog's a highly trained service dog, to go back to the trailer so that the signal's split. Jonah can see the signal is splitting. He goes, okay, the phone is going this direction, but Al Greenwood has visual. So Al Greenwood stays at the case. He knows he's being chased by the state trooper, so he takes his truck and runs it right into the frozen river, and it crashes in. But he's got the scuba gear. He puts on the scuba gear and he goes under. Now, this other stuff happens. He stays under, and there's a blizzard while this is going on, and that's when the hunter comes up, as in from the chromatics. Now, it cuts then, and then he's coming out of the water. Time has passed, and he's coming out of the river, and that's when he goes back to get his dog and his phone, because the dog outsmarts Jonah. That's something I have to come up with. But he gets the phone back and he gets the dog back. But at that moment, for some odd reason, and we don't know if it's because of the bubble, a polar bear appears right by the trailer, the teardrop trailer, and he has to fight the polar bear. He does that with a K-bar. He happens to have a K-bar during this whole time on his ankle. Kills the polar bear, but gets injured and has to go to Lady Shelby at that point. That's when he finally breaks down and confesses that he's not Archie Rector, that he is Shepard Dwight East, and that he's under investigation. And that's when they eventually investigate Daniel, and they send the RIB team to Fort Worth. Just to let you know why he has the K-bar, okay? So Shepard Dwight East does fight the polar bear, the K-bar. Now, is the polar bear connected to Lady Shroom? Because Lady Shroom trains another polar bear. Possibly, there could be a connection there. It also could have something to do with the bubble that's underneath the river that has to do with time change and parallel universes and wormholes. Definitely a wormhole, because that's where the pirate ship came from, the Caribbean. Now, he got the K-bar from a guy named D.D. East. D.D. East is his brother, who's actually a criminal who did fight in the 20-year war. He was a veteran that fought and you know, went through some really heavy stuff over in the desert, over in the Sunni Triangle area. He comes back in another series to help Shep go through basically what's called Dog Night Out, which is like apocalypse kind of thing. It's kind of like the story kind of shifts into something that's similar and a loosely similar to what's like The Purge. So it gets like really crazy. It gets real revolutionary and stuff. Big time fiction. I gotta find the code on it. I looked it up the other day. It's animal control code, but I don't remember the police code on it. I'll look at it in a minute. Oh, it's the same one. Pretty serious thing, because this looks like a friendly one though. It's a mother dog. It's got teats, so it's probably a neighboring dog. So it's called a 1054. In some cases, it's 1054. They're all going to have different codes, especially Santa Monica. This is Texas, Fort Worth. At the 1054, I think that's, I can check it out in a minute. Also could be a 1011 or 1054. 1054 is usually livestock. 1011 is animal issue, basically. But, you know, a stray dog running around, it's, you know, they could have been from that gate, or it could have been from that gate opening or whatever, you know. Could be, the dog could just come right back and jump back in the gate. You don't know until the dog does something. If the dog just doesn't do anything, then it's just a dog running around, you know. 1011 probably, if the dog was barking or biting. I'd say barking's usually not an issue, that big of a thing, but biting is definitely, that dog better run. Yeah, but police codes vary. What you find online may not exactly be what a police scanner code could be. Santa Monica, I know for a fact that they have encryption on their scanners or on their radios encrypted. I think they're the only department that's encrypted for some reason. I don't know why it's Santa Monica. But according to the research I've done, they're the only ones you can't tap into. The other radios are you can listen to them for calls and things like that if you know the police scanner codes. That case, it could have been called as a 1011 if the dog was doing something wrong. Other than that, it'd just be a stray dog. There might be 1011A, 1011B, 1011C, things like that, or 1054A, 1054B, 1054C. It leads to a stray dog or aggressive dog, something like that. It falls into different categories depending on the department. Yeah, I've done some drop-offs over here in this Baptist church, right here in the middle of this neighborhood. They're 360 alert. Pretty good company, not as old as ADT. ADT's been around 9 years after the Civil War is when they began. So the Civil War ended, 9 years passed, and then ADT happened, which is right there. So ideally, when Shepard runs it looks kind of like a Ford Explorer, but it's FPIU. He runs it over the ice in the Alaskan River, and it cracks, and Jonah sees it, and he goes under. He doesn't necessarily know he has scuba gear, because he probably bought that with the Bitcoin money from Matt Dill or Lone Star Hacker. So ideally, they don't find him after that, So they're just presumed dead at that point, probably, maybe. If they couldn't even identify him because he's not there. But what he does is once the FPIU utility truck goes to the bottom of the river or whatever, he gets out in the scuba gear and starts swimming and swims far away from the truck and then comes up at a different part of the river. Probably an area that he can break the ice out from beneath. That's probably what he has the K-bar for too. He could probably use the K-bar to chisel his way out of the ice and then come up in another area. So just like Stephen King, is interested in Derry. Well, Derry's a fictional town that's based in basically it's Dexter, but it's it's Derry. It's fictional. This one I used for Catnappers, but I believe I called it Haltom I know I called it Fossil Creek, but it's also rib. The early stages of Daniel's life began here, but the only thing is that I don't know if I call it Fossil Creek. Fossil Creek's over that way. We're on Circular, which is off of Tourist. This is where I grew up when I was about 11, 12 years old. And skaters, I think up to almost 13. I might have been a little bit older too. Might have 14, yeah, and then 15, and 16, because I had my car here. So up to when I was 16, 12 to 16, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, about 4 years. Lived in this house coming up here. So we were definitely, when I was 13, 14, I lived here. I might have lived in Summerfield when I was 12, but we lived here for a while. Oh, there's a squirrel. That was an old lady that lived there. And then that was a tree that we climbed out of to get over the fence, which is not there anymore. It's a different tree, but there was another tree next to that one. It's probably partially that tree. The trampoline was on the other side of that. Where that boat is on the other side of that fence where the trampoline was. We didn't have that cover right there. That overhead wasn't there, and that thing wasn't built out. That was mostly a patio, and we didn't have an extension on that patio. It wasn't open like it was. There was a patio there, but it wasn't enclosed. I don't think it might have been. I think that was open, and that was my room right there. And then this tree was in the opening of Catnappers. Is that tree? Which, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was that tree. It might have been that tree. I remember that tree being over here. That tree being on that side of that sidewalk. But it wasn't that tree. It might have been that tree. It might have actually been that tree that we climbed. But that tree too. But this is the tree we probably climbed. And that was a tree that was probably in the story. Pretty interesting. Definitely would have climbed that tree. So this is one of the ancestor squirrels that was probably around. Meaning, it's from a generation of long squirrels that lived out here. Alright, so when we lived here back in the 80s, this burger box, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was here. It's right in this area. Right off Denton Highway. We lived right behind there. Now, this place next to it was definitely maybe there or right here was a gas station. And it was where my sister would get Marble Lights or send us to get them. They would sell them to us. I'm just gonna look at the menu. There's a clown burger, but we used to eat here. It's called Burger Box. Yeah. French fries are $4. Burgers, it's what, box burger. They got mushroom burgers, number 8, which is $7.49 for a mushroom burger. Burger Box has a bunch of headshots from actors. Here's Clint Eastwood. I was just thinking about Marlon Brando. Like a few seconds ago, I was thinking about Marlon Brando. That's really weird. There's Clint. Sorry about that. Just looking at some of your headshots. Oh, this is interesting. Elizabeth Taylor. She was pushed off the boat by Christopher Walken, pretty much. Gregory Peck. Garbo. Simmons. Oh yeah, appreciate it. Oh, Laurence Olivier. Here's Elvis.
All right, welcome back. It is time now for Next Social Story, and that is where we
Rock
post
Hudson.
stories on social media, and you decide what we cover. And today's choice is
Or the Sean Connery Swiss cheese sandwich, please.
and weekend rules for your nervous system.
Grace Kelly. Yeah, these are all like classics.
Runaway. You guys chose
Robert
a
Taylor.
selective service registration. So a new law mandates that young men will now be automatically registered into the military
James
travel
Stewart.
pool starting this December. This measure will enroll men between the ages of 18 and 25 years old into the selective service system. Joining us for more on this
Charlton
is
Heston from Planet of the Apes.
Columbia University.
That was from one of the other ones he did. Probably the famous one, Vivian Leigh. Yeah, she worked with the Tennessee Williams or the Streetcar Named Desire people, and when they did the film, she was selected. She was one of the selections. I think she might have been in it. She might have played Blanch DuBois. She wasn't on the Broadway one though, I don't think. One way or the other. It's the other way around. I get it mixed up sometimes. But I believe she was in the movie with Brando. One of them played Stella, and one of them played Blanche. I'll look it up in a minute. William Holding, Ginger Rogers.
To register for the draft. And if they don't register, they can be denied federal loans, they can be denied federal employment opportunities. Automatic registration, the idea is, well, we know about a lot of these folks either through the Social Security Administration or the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, he was in the westerns, the old westerns. There's a lot of them.
DHS, they work with SSA to just anytime
John Wayne.
someone's born, like that. Anytime someone makes a point of contact with an immigration official, like that. And then they'll be automatically registered at 18 and avoid the
Montgomery
potential
Cliff. A lot of them like
penalties.
Montgomery Cliff.
Now, I do think there are some problems down the road with the automatic registration approach, but at the outset, it's not an irrational
Mad Dog Blues with Sam Shepard.
It's not an irrational.
That's the one I want to make.
No, I can understand why it seems like a more efficient way of getting folks registered and compliant with federal law.
I hear you. Well, and so here's the thing. I mean, there hasn't been a draft, by my understanding, since 1973. So is this a signal that one could potentially be on the horizon?
Yes. I don't think in a vacuum this transition to automatic registration would be evidence that we are moving to resuming classification and induction into the armed forces. But in light of what is going on in the world, we even have a story on it tonight, I think that this is a step moving towards, at the very least, resumption of the classification obligation at some point, and I can say more about what that would look like.
Okay, Professor Jeremy Kessler. Hey, thank you so much for your context today.
Thanks, Alex.
Turner.
And for our viewers, take a moment. You can scan that QR code that's right there in the middle of your screen. And each day, we post
I
the
don't
social
know that
story
may
on
have been a
the
Streetcar.
News
She might have played
Instagram
Stella.
page. Your
I have to look that
vote
one
can
up
help
too.
pick what we cover tomorrow.
Sandra D. Ricker. Clark Gable. Yeah, I'm getting it. Just give me a second. This is Victor
And as we follow the countdown to the artist
Sophie Loren. So Marilyn Monroe was removed.
Well, it got stolen twice.
Oh, it was stolen twice. Okay. That's where Marilyn Monroe went. And she was stolen twice. Interesting. In 1949, she was Blanch DuBois on the Broadway production. And he was Stanley Kowalski, Streetcar Named Desire. Marlon Brando. Direction, Kim Hunter was Stella. She's on the list here. I don't know if she was stolen like Marilyn Monroe, but Kim Hunter was the other one that played Stella in the film, 1951 film. Vivian Leigh played Blanche, and then Marlon Brando played Stanley Kowalski. All right, this is the mushroom burger. My tea. And some ketchup right here. And I have salt. They're actually peppers, sorry. Just a touch of salt. That's what it looks like right here. My great grandma would eat here from a long time ago. She was Margaret Mitchell was her name. She would eat here. Really good. It's a really good burger. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. There we go. Let's stay a little shot here. It's a really good burger. This is a really cool area right here.
To go head-to-head in a few weeks from now. One, defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. They are on pace to win 65 games again this season, coming off winning 68 last year. They rolled to the playoffs. They won the championship.
Best one on there is Marlon Brando. And probably Montgomery Cliff. It's right there. It's a really good burger. This is a really cool area right here.
To go head-to-head in a few weeks from now. One, defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. They are on pace to win 65 games again this season, coming off winning 68 last year. They rolled to the playoffs. They won the championship.
Best one on there is Marlon Brando. And probably Montgomery Cliff. It's right there. It's a really good burger. This is a really cool area right here.
To go head-to-head in a few weeks from now. One, defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. They are on pace to win 65 games again this season, coming off winning 68 last year. They rolled to the playoffs. They won the championship.
Best one on there is Marlon Brando. And probably Montgomery Cliff. It's right there. It's converted from a Dairy Queen. So it was a Dairy Queen in 1996, and it was converted